Okay, so now just for a quick recap, we've gone through all of the other modules, discovered our authentic purpose, we've built out our mission statement, and we've aligned everything with that purpose. So now this is the bonus module. This is going to be an exercise that derives from NLP, and it is going to allow you to tap into that purpose and that energy and to stay in alignment with it at any point in time, literally on demand. So that is what we are jumping into today. So this explains a little bit about how this works, but think of it like having a button that you can press that just turns on all of that power and um, gets you going into your purpose. And like without the need of willpower or motivation, all you have to remember is to literally push that button. So the exercise that this comes from is from New Code NLP, which is part of John Grinder's practice. And it's called the Circle of Excellence. And this is extremely powerful. You can use this for other tools as well, but today we're focusing on establishing our power source of purpose, which we're going to step into. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time because the directions for this exercise seem a little complex. You might have to watch this video a couple of times or read through the notes a couple of times. But this will make a lot more sense once we get into it. So you're going to find a space on the floor where you can comfortably stand and have room to imagine a circle in front of you. So the circle should be large enough for you to stand in, like hula hoop size, or maybe a little bit smaller, roughly 2 to 3 feet in diameter. You can either visualize this circle or you can physically mark it out with a string or a rope or something creative. Um, or you can just designate like that particular pattern in the floor or the rug or something like that is going to be my circle. Um, Visualizing, if okay, my suggestion for this is if you start out with a physical mark that you're focusing on for your circle, build the practice up with it, but work your way to where you're visualizing the circle, because you don't want to have to carry this rug around with you to be able to step into this and get this energy. You want to be able to visualize it and just picture a circle in front of you and build up the anchor and step into it from there. So it doesn't matter how you imagine the circle, how you visualize it, um, what color it is, if it's 2D or 3D, if it's plain, if it's complex, if it's decorated, doesn't matter. Oh, I got to edit while I go along here. So step 2 is visually build and visualize the purpose state. So we got to understand all of the characteristics of that really powerful purpose aligned state. So standing outside your circle, imagine a specific time and see it inside your circle when you naturally experience that powerful state. Choose a really clear, strong example. This can be one of your peak moments that you discovered in one of the earlier modules. It can be recent, it can be far back in the past. It can also just be uh, completely imagined. But don't pick something vague, have it be very specific. Then read your purpose and your mission statements to really remind you of the power, the alignment that you want with this feeling, and how strong it is. because we've built these up to be strong, resonating statements. So notice what comes up. And like I mentioned, it could be a time when you felt like you were doing exactly what you felt, a peak power moment, anything like that. And then we're going to build this visualization inside the circle as we're like, as if, so we're outside the circle and we're looking inside the circle as if a movie of a moment was playing of us in that peak power moment. So you're going to see yourself in that experience, noticing where you were, what you saw, the expressions on your face, if there were people around you, what was going on around you at the time. You're going to hear the sounds of that moment as you're looking in that circle. Any words that you heard spoken, sounds that were happening around that version of you in the circle. And then notice how that version of you seems to feel. Notice their posture, their breathing, their facial expressions, everything that you can think of. Then we're going to move to step 3, which is actually accessing that particular state. So once you feel that it's really high energy, high quality, built out really strongly, then we are going to actually physically step into the circle. And as you step in, it isn't just into the circle, but it's into that version of you in that circle that is experiencing that moment. It's like stepping not just into a movie, but into an actor in that movie, seeing with their eyes that version of you, hearing with their ears, noticing their thoughts and their feelings. And then take a moment and just let that feeling and those sensations to load and even intensify, becoming amplified, more powerful, being fully present in that body, allowing the feeling to spread from head to toe, experiencing that state becoming even stronger. Notice something that you hadn't noticed before. Maybe the thoughts that they're having, things that they're noticing. And then while standing in that powerful state, notice how you're standing, your posture, your balance, distribution of weight, the temperature of your skin, your body. Become aware how you're breathing. Pay attention to where in your body you notice the feeling of the power of this state. Notice how this sensation shows up in your body. What color you associate with it. All these things. What that version of you is saying to themselves, what they're hearing. What is that sensation like? What would amplify those sensations to be even more powerful? And then quickly add those things into that circle. Anything that would enhance it, make it more powerful, stronger. Things might be brighter. Sounds might be louder. Temperatures might change. Sounds might be added. And then just give a quick rating on a scale of 1 to 10, how powerful that feeling is. 10 being the most powerful. And if it's below 9 or 10, add something to that moment that would make it a 9 or a 10. Imagine the circle and the space inside absorbing and learning that state. Like copying it and holding on to it, making it permanent in that space. And then after noticing all those things, step backwards out of the circle, out of that movie, out of that version of you, leaving it all there. And as you step back, just noticing that image of that moment staying there in that circle. And then we're going to do what's called a break state, where we think of something completely different and bring ourselves back to a neutral state. So you can spin in a circle or count backwards and hum a song, spell your name wrong, sing something. You can count the number of light bulbs in the room, or just notice something outside, take a big breath and let all of that state go. Come back to a neutral spot. The break state's important because it creates a neutral state. And when we practice this several times, stepping in and amplifying and noticing and getting that sensation in the body, and then stepping out and break stating and coming back to neutral, it really amplifies the sensation in the circle. So you can do that 5 or 6 times, 3 or 4 times, and really amplify that moment in the circle. So the next step is actually to test the circle and see what happens. So we're in a neutral state now. Again, stand outside the circle and look into the circle, seeing that version of you in that state that you just experienced. And notice if you already feel like a pull or some kind of response happening, knowing in a moment you're going to step into that. With neutral intention of just thinking like, let's see what happens. Step into your circle again, stepping into that version of you inside that movie. And notice what happens. Allow that all to load up. Notice the things that you notice inside that circle. And rate it again on that scale of 1 to 10. What is the intensity of that? And is there anything else now, something new that you notice, or something that you thought of that would even amplify this state to make it even more powerful, and add that in quickly? And then we can step back out once again, just like we had before, and do another break state. And I suggest to do this at least 4 or 5 times. Just stepping in, noticing, rating it, making it a little stronger, and then stepping out. And I call that strengthening the circle, adding into it, and then stepping out and neutralizing the state, walking around for a minute or two, and then standing in front of the circle, visualizing the image, noticing all the things in it, stepping into that version of you, allowing whatever happens to just happen. Notice all of the things, maybe notice something new, add something to it. So do that 4 or 5, maybe 6 times, and it will be extremely powerful by the end of this. Now, the way that we can really test this is by looking at a future situation where this would be really useful. Something where we would maybe be highly stressed or challenged or something like that, that's going to come up in the near future. So think of something challenging that's likely to happen maybe in the near future that you don't want to deal with, or that's just stressful, or going to be take a lot of effort, or going to be really extremely challenging. Or it could be something that you're dealing with right now. It doesn't have to be way in the future. It can be like right now. Maybe a decision or a problem or a source of stress, anything like that. Hear what you think to yourself as you experience the thought of that challenge, and notice where in your body you feel any stress or anything like that that has to do with that particular challenge. And then just notice your circle and the image of that version of you inside that circle in that powerful state. And then step into that circle, into that version of you, seeing with their eyes, hearing with their ears, noticing their thoughts, feeling their feelings, and let that feeling grow inside of you as it loads. Once you're feeling fully empowered, like the peak moment of that presence loading inside of you, step back out of that circle, taking all of that power with you. There's plenty of it. You can keep it, and whatever's inside the circle will still remain just as strong as ever. But you can take it with you. Now, quickly think about that challenging situation that you were using to test this. And just ask yourself something like, how does this challenge serve my purpose, this powerful feeling inside of me? What would someone fully living my mission do with that situation? How can I use that challenge to become even more aligned with my purpose? How does that work? What does it look like? Give yourself a moment or two to sit with that idea of this challenge making you more aligned with your purpose, and how someone with that purpose and that mission would react to a challenge like that. And allow your unconscious to just give a brief idea, just even an inkling of how that challenge could serve your purpose. And just let that sit in the body. And then notice how your reaction to that challenge or that obstacle changes. This is how you change an obstacle into an opportunity. It's a perspective shift. And it's incredibly powerful. So I also wrote down a few ways to integrate the purpose state into your life. I suggest taking a few of these and just practicing. The more you practice this, the more you do this, it's like a muscle. It gets more powerful and stronger. So repetition is highly favored in this exercise. Here are ideas that I had to help implement this more and make it stronger and more concrete for you. Start by just using your purpose statement and your mission statement like a mantra and saying it out loud or writing it down every day is incredibly powerful. Putting it, printing it out or writing it down and taping it in a place that you'll see it every day, especially early on, practices like that are incredibly powerful. You can also just begin your day by stepping into that circle of excellence and loading that alignment and that intention, that powerful feeling into the body just from the first moment that you wake up is incredibly powerful. When you're planning your day, one of the things that I find incredibly powerful is things that are most aligned and that serve my purpose the most get done first. That's how I schedule my day. And if you're into journaling, a great journal prompt is how I'll express my purpose today, how it's going to come about in my work, in my recreation, in my rest time, in my meals, or whatever it could be. I gave a few other examples for things to do throughout the day, whether it's like check-ins or how to make sure your decisions are purpose aligned and things like that. Evening reflections as well, things that work more on a weekly basis and things that work on a monthly basis. So feel free to pick a handful of those and put them to practice or create your own ways of really reinforcing this practice of stepping into your circle of excellence, loading that purpose state, and then carrying it with you everywhere. Remember, you haven't just discovered your purpose, but you've tapped into a way to have your own personal, like, nuclear power plant for yourself. And if I have one idea to tell people, it's just trust this process. Trust your purpose and just go into this going like, let's just see what happens. And I guarantee you it will be life-changing. It is such a powerful practice. And just a quick reminder, the world needs what you have to offer. Your purpose is definitely calling. And this is one of the biggest ways to tap into that energy and have that power at hand so that you can answer every time that your purpose calls. You can show up. And it won't only change your life, but as you have clients and you have relationships with others, it will be life-changing for those around you. So put it to practice, enjoy it. I can't wait to see what you do with it, and keep on moving.